A very warm evening to everyone present here. This is your host Priyanka, and we also have Sarvesh, our co-host for this meet. We're gathered here today on this virtual platform to welcome Sir Jaspal Bajwa to our Excel family for a short interactive session wherein we will get to learn, unlearn, relearn about life's realities viewed from the leadership perspective. Wishing you a very good and pleasant morning, sir. On
Thank
behalf
you.
of the current XPGDM batch of 2021-2022, I welcome you, sir. We are very glad to have you again.
Thank you, Priyanka, Sarvesh, all 75 of us in the room. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you. It's a late evening for you, and therefore I appreciate the time that you're taking out to be here today. And we'll try and keep it down to the time that you have sort of set aside for this. So the first notion I wanted to share with you was on that slide that Priyanka was sharing, two keywords. I come to you as a learner. And then I had put in front of that word, the word practitioner. So I think the only reason you want me in the room today is because I'm a fellow practitioner and I'm a fellow learner. And I've come here to learn as much from 100 young minds as you might want to take from me. So for me, the word co-learning, and in the art and science of leadership, life itself, co-scripting, co-owning, and co-celebrating. Very, very important. So let's get into this co-learning with you. The good news that at any age, we can learn anything we make up our mind, right? So even an old dog like me can learn tricks, new tricks, and I'm here to learn from you. Of course, technical terms for this, what I just mentioned to you is neuroplasticity, neurogenesis. And I can talk a little bit more about this during the Q&A. So any session, right? I always begin it with an invocation. In the old days, we would light a lamp. In the modern days, we are not able to because of inflammable materials. We are in buildings. So I always seek inspiration from quotes. And the quote I wanted to share with you today is, each one of us wears a lens every single moment, every single morning when we wake up. And that lens is that of perspective and perceptions. And the very robust science of positive psychology, which in business schools actually started having larger class sizes than even marketing or finance, says to us the first thing we want to learn from this robust science is these two words I just mentioned. Perspective, which will create my world for me, your world for you, and perceptions. And from that science, the only other thing we want to remember is permission. We have to give ourselves permission to accept ourselves, the ground reality on which we want to play this game of life and leadership. So the formal introduction is all full of, degrees and experience, which has no relevance to you other than the fun facts that almost all my assignments for 35 years were called impossible. And I was so proud to be a member of teams who call themselves DBDB, dream big, deliver bigger. And you know what? For 35 years, we were able to make the impossible possible, whether it was Ray-Ban sunglasses made in India, will never sell because they are imported, or whether it was soft contact lenses, they will never sell, although they are comfortable in the eyes, but they are also infection prone and could lead to blindness. That's what senior doctors said in the media, in major media in India. They will never sell. And so, or Milkmaid, it'll have to die because it cannot take competition from milk powder. So each of these was an impossible story. It was made possible. And, when we go out and take charge of our lives, friends, while success is important, what's equally important, perhaps more important, is getting joy out of success in life and leadership. And you as young millennials, I know, I can see the heads are nodding already. You totally agree with me that it's not just about numbers. This game is not just about financials and profits, right? This game is about each one of us on this planet finding meaning. Why are we on this planet for either 9 minutes or 99 years, 109 years. And your generation, the millennials, who are going to be the majority of the workforce in 1,000 days from now, 1,000 days from now, leaders all over the world need to be able to listen to what does the multi-generational workforce and the new majority, which is Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, want from leaders. Now, this is what my teams used to do for me. At my request, they used to draw a caricature for me as a gift. When I used to move on from 3 or 4 years in an assignment, I used to say, guys, I'm a liability to you now. Kick me out and gift me with a caricature. So this is how I was seen through the eyes of my teams. And while perceptions could be faulty because they are, after all, someone else's perceptions, but just as I said earlier to you, perspectives create your world for you. Equally, for us leaders, perceptions are also a reality because we exist in the minds of our followers. We may say whatever we like about ourselves as leaders, but at the end of the day, how are you seen by others? What difference did you make to others? Were you able to do what they wanted from leaders, which is clarity and direction, definitely strategy, but most importantly, meaning. They wanted to find meaning. They wanted to feel valued as go home every evening, regardless of the number of hours we used to put in. And we used to put in reasonably long hours, I can assure you. But go home every evening with your heads held high, say we made a difference and enjoy quality time with our families. So proud to be seen this way. In my, gives you an idea of why people used to ask me for every single day, 35 years, Jaspal, where does your energy come from? And I used to just point at all of you, all 100 of you in the room and say, from you, right? And that's why I'm so excited to interact with all of you today. Now, when I became a coach 10 years ago, after 35 years of experience as a practitioner come learner, having been born in the Sikh faith, Sikh meant to learn, be a good learner, Sikho, Sishya. So I wanted to keep going back to school. You'll be happy to know every year since 2010, I go back to college to learn something new so that when I talk to people, it's not just from my own practical experience, but also this latest state of the art or from sciences called positive psychology or any other science, because I'm very agnostic where I learn from. I learn from our oldest teacher, which is nature, because I love my time in nature, long walks, long cycles, long trekking expeditions. But I also love to learn from people because we are all the time surrounded by people. And any other thing, I was just joking with Priyanka and Sarvesh earlier, that I learned from bacteria. I've learned from COVID. So I refuse to say I cannot learn. And the reason why I share all of this to you is, this is a drawing made by me, by the way, Black China ink. And the first stroke of the pen takes you into those layers and layers of the onion. And we as busy executives, we never really have the time for this ancient adage, know yourself. So the first stroke of the pen, with the help of a coach perhaps, or a good friend who's almost like a coach, because good friends are like mirrors. They show you your beauty spots and your warts, both. And as good coaches, we are able to, a good friend can also be a challenger and a support for you. So the first stroke of the pen is, dear friends on the call today, don't postpone this question just because we are very busy in our lives. The question of knowing yourself, because the single biggest source of a dynamo of growth is you yourself. And every tradition all over the planet, I have found this embedded over there. Know yourself. And then, of course, every up and down in life, and this is yet another up and down, it's a V shape, it's a U shape, depending on how you're looking at it. You climb out of that U shape and you then spread your energy signature, by the way, each of you on the call, remember that. Your energy signature is unique. There is no other Priyanka or Sarvesh or Apurva in the entire cosmos. So when you as leaders go out there, the second stroke of the pen says, go out and make an impact and have what all leaders have, which is influence, and not the opposite of that, which is the illusion, and the illusion is control. We control nothing. Quick upfront quiz just to see if the chat box is working. So one of us will let me know whether people are willing to type anything into the chat box. I'm trying to make this as interactive and as simple. See, KISS we already know, right? Keep it simple, guys. Non-MBA, MBA, it doesn't matter. MBA is just a good, very good platform from where to spring into the world of the future. So keep it simple, not using too much jargon. What do you think I'm indicating over here that I'm going to misspell this word and call it KYSC, not KISS? What am I indicating? KYS, I've already given you a clue. Know your stuff. Know the game that you've chosen to play. You know, as a sports person, I can say to you that you got to understand, are you playing field hockey, which we used to play in India, and I love that game? Or are you playing ice hockey, which we play here in Canada? Two entirely different games. Are you playing test cricket? Or are you playing one day? Entirely different games. So you must know your stuff. And as a good sports person, having learned a lot of my leadership lessons on the sports field. By the way, I went away to hostel at the age of 8, and I was sent away from Calcutta side to Simla side. So two nights train journey away, and I used to come home only after 9 months. So what I learned on the sports field, age 8 onwards, is learn to call out the game. What game is being played over here? A, what are the rules of the game? Are you willing to play, and is everyone else willing to play with the rules of the game? Or are you willing to be a disruptor when it is appropriate and employ disruptive innovation as well? So know your stuff, know your game. This part you already know, and know yourself. What do you think I'm indicating with C's? Because in Sunya circle, and a question later on, we can take why Sunya is 0, is it has 9 C's. We have a chakra in Sunya circle. So what do you think these C's over here could mean? Anyone in the chat box wants to write any word starting with the letter C? You need to know your business. You need to know yourself. What else do you need to know? Any words, please. And Priyanka or Sarvesh, can you help me capture some of those words?
Yeah,
Clearly.
sure, sir.
Clearly, clarity.
Challenges.
What else?
Capability.
Challenge.
Capability. Wonderful.
Customer.
Customer. Wow, that's my favorite. Voice of the customer, both external and internal to the organization.
Competency.
Competencies. Wow. Whoever said that, can you please add a prefix to it, which makes all the difference? As unique as I said, each one of you is in the cosmos. As unique is your business model, whichever company you're working for. So the unique value proposition of your company. What is the prefix to the word competencies? Another
Core.
C word, by the way.
Core
competency.
Absolutely. And you know what? Everywhere I used to go, I used to say, teach me about your business, guys. You've been in your company longer than me. And you know what? I used to be so surprised that these basic root questions of knowing your business, knowing your unique value proposition, knowing your core competencies, I would be surprised where people just didn't have the right answers because nobody had bothered to go deep into these root questions. Oh, this is the way we do things around here. That was the normal answer. We already know it. We're already the best. Don't you know that, dear newcomer? So I would often be put in my place as a newcomer who didn't understand when I joined companies other than my first company. My first company, of course, Priyanka mentioned to you. You know, what happened there with Milkmaid, noodles, many other launches, chocolates. And I had the good fortune to have great foundation over there because I was able to work both in marketing, in sales. As trainees, we were sent out to work on the shop floor in the factories. So we were very nicely grounded. And that's a great advantage of working for a solid professional corporation, whether it's Unilever, Nestlé, or any other large corporation, which is willing to give you a good grounding, right? So I think excellent words you've given, and we'll probably see a couple more coming up in the rest of this quick few minutes I'm sharing with you, but I love the words customer, core competencies, and then another one, which is around, you know, if I said to you in all my experience, I did another diagram, by the way, and I'll show to you the most valuable asset we as leaders can ever contribute to. And I'm going to show a picture to you. Is this picture visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What do you think I've drawn over here?
Smile.
Passing on smiles from one to the other.
Wonderful. So this is often called the virtuous cycle. it grows, win, 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 win. And if sustainable results, today's topic is transformational leadership, but in the new normal. And the new normal is the normal where short-term results, profits only, that's going to go out of the window in the next 10 years. We are going to have to be able to properly capture in the net worth of any organization, not only the financial metrics, not only the tangibles, but the real wealth, the intangibles, which give you the clue to what I talk about when I talk organization vitality. So transformational leadership, friends, is different from other leaderships. It is up there as an inspirational form of leadership, along with authentic leadership, servant leadership, and level 5 leadership, which Jim Collins did extensive research for. Inclusive leadership. In today's world, we are all finding ourselves very divided and excluded. So inclusive, shared leadership, a leader who is humble enough in the 21st century to be different from the 19th or 20th century, who said, command and control, I know it all. Well, the 21st century leader is the first one to say, I do not have all the answers. But you know what, guys? Together, we have them. So one of the favorite mottos of my teams used to be, either we find a way or we make one. And I used to be the first one to say, guys, I don't have all the answers. So I've just shared with you the true and sustainable wealth, win, 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 including planet and people and profits, by the way. Profits are just an outcome. If you listen to senior CEOs, top 10, top 50 CEOs who are just now retiring after being at the helm of very large corporations, Unilever's Paul Polman, Alan Mulally, who headed Ford and Boeing, Hubert Joly, who just retired from Best Buy, huge turnaround stories. You'll see that they are now talking and also publishing books. After today's talk, I can send you the link for a recent talk by Paul Polman. Their books will also say what they are saying on stage, that the world of the future, dear leaders, dear transformational leaders, the new normal will ask you for not only significant value creation, important word, and sustainable value creation. We need to have a system which can, in the old days, the indigenous populations and their elders, ancient wisdom used to say, each human being's impact can be felt for 7 generations. And here we are, the baby boomers, who are exiting the planet with almost as if it's a burnt out cigarette butt. So we can certainly do a better job, and that's where we look forward to young leaders like you. My commitment, I was saying to your colleagues earlier, started 50 years ago when I started going back to the business schools to help Nestlé select their management trainees. So batch 2 onwards, I was the scout, although I was not from human resources. Now, the second picture I want to leave with you is, as you know, in management and leadership thinking, this diagram comes up again and again, the x-axis and the y-axis. And we tend to overly play it, maximize X, maximize Y, optimize, right? In Sunya circle, the reason we've looked at the circular shape of a circle or a wheel is that I think the real world we live in is beyond just straight lines. The real world is actually curved. And therefore, we need not only learnings from our ancient teacher, nature, not only from the scriptures, which are 5,000 to 7,000 years old, north of Himalayas, south of Himalayas, and anywhere else in the world. We also need the sciences, modern sciences, whether it is Newtonian science, which is linear in its logic, or quantum physics, which is just 100 years old, which is whole, looking at the whole. We need all of these skills, and my encouragement to all of you is to never, ever get boxed into, hey, are you an art student or are you a science student? We are whole, and don't ever get pigeonholed, dear friends, in any pigeonhole, any compartment anyone else is willing to put to you. You know what? I also spend time with women leaders in certain corporations one whole day, and I tell women that no matter what the condition of the last 10,000 years, conditioning has been, that this is what a woman is supposed to be. Do not underestimate yourselves. 50% of the human race take 50% of corporate and other senior leadership positions on the planet, and not any other ratio should work for you. The other picture I'm leaving with you is the secret to the success of these impossible is possible stories is another picture I drew. And this is, I hope, properly coming and readable. What have I written? And what is this picture? Spiraling up,
Okay.
spiraling down, and the word now is written over here. So what could it signify? The scarcest resource.
Elasticity kind of thing.
The crest and trough of life.
Curiosity
Springing
is a
from
good
past
answer.
to the
Okay.
present.
The uncertainty parallel.
Uncertainty. Okay.
Upside down.
Elasticity was the scarcest resource. Okay. If this was the most valuable asset our teams can generate, our corporations can generate, both tangible and intangible wealth, this, dear leaders, fellow leaders, is the scarcest resource you have and your team has at its command. And this scarce resource is nothing but that anecdote I shared with you. Jaspal, where does your energy come from? This is pran, this is energy. For teams to climb mountains and make the impossible possible, they need to believe in themselves. They need to have energy to energize and do, what we within quotes say, less is more. That means with finite resources which are at our command, finance, people, time, these are all maybe finite resources. But dear fellow leaders, we are supposed to generate significant and sustainable results, outstanding results. And the only way you can do it is if all your troops, including yourself, are fully in, show up 101%, all in your heart, your mind, your body. And that's what I call your psychic energy, your total energy. And that, whenever I could tap into, by the way, for me and my teams, magic used to happen, because of course we had taken the trouble to have the other things in resonance, our shared purpose, our shared passion, and our shared practices. All that we took the trouble. But on a minute-to-minute basis, that's why the word now, I write the word now, because every second your energy can either spiral up or spiral down. And dear leader, if because of your energy signature when you entered the room, if the energy has gone down, morale has gone down, what kind of a leader? What was the use of having you in the room? And this energy must be managed, because there's only one principle in the whole cosmos. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. All it does is transforms itself from one form to the other, depending on changed conditions, right? So, dear fellow leaders, it's not just business growth, people growth, okay? People generate business, not machines. And here comes the biggest C word right in the title itself. Co-owned journeys. We need co-owners in the business, not passengers. So as transformational leaders, we need significant and sustainable value. That's the art form of a transformational leader. And the last line, the belief system. We believe we are winners, not losers. And of course, in every company, they announce transformational programs, but they don't live up to the expectations, because we don't fully understand the power of this word transformation. So take water, which is 70-80% of our body is water. This planet is called Blue Planet because it has water. And each of us has 70 trillion cells. Just look at water. When it was at the at the mouth of the glacier at Gangotri, it was solid in its form. Yet the same water, same H2O, it transforms as it comes down into the rivers, and becomes, at times it becomes gases once again back into the atmosphere and nourishes the planet, and eventually find its way into the ocean to merge with its home body. So as you can see, H2O remained H2O. The essence did not change. So similarly in leadership, your core will always remain non-negotiable, your core values. But on the periphery, you will, through choice, be able to bring certain skill sets, which will end up making you practice your own form of leadership, whether it is authentic, transformational, servant, level 5, whatever. But the form and function will change. And this is where the words agility, adaptiveness, awareness come into play. And therefore, in Sunya Cycle, when we talk linear thinking, we have one single slide called 7 A's. And when we talk quantum thinking, we have a circular shape, which I will just now quickly show to you. So, of course, when embarking on a transformational journey, we must all know where it all begins from. And again, in the chat box, you may want to share with me one word, saying it begins from here. Anyone wants to type in one word? I think the journey of transformational leadership starts from, and then one word. Any one word in the chat box, please. Go ahead and read out, please, any chat box comments that are coming in. Where does this journey start from? I'm giving you a clue now. I'm pointing out.
From within.
Pardon?
From within.
Self authenticity,
Absolutely.
culture,
Self. Every journey is
introspection.
your decision. If there are 100 of us in the room, there are 100 decisions being taken. I take charge of my journey. I receive the blessing of, it's a divine blessing to the Homo sapien of choice, conscious choice, and I will exercise this choice to know myself, to know my colleagues, my customers, my competition. So the C word can mean customer, colleagues, competition. And I am willing to therefore learn the art form of like a Rubik cube, spinning it around all the time, in the moment, agile, and therefore make it my business to be not only the right person, right place, right time, but importantly, right frame of mind. That perception thing I was mentioning to you. Your perspective is creating your world for you. So right frame of mind. And never underestimate the power of your subconscious mind, which runs 96% of your 24-hour cycle through habits, energy, dream energy. Therefore, your mind, body, attitude, behaviors. Here's your new MBA for you, by the way. MBAB, mind, body, attitude, behaviors. That's your subconscious power. So yoke your conscious mind and your subconscious mind together. Conscious choices, but followed through with habit, energy, and the right company of people. The Sangha. It is said within quotes, the environment, the ecosystem always wins. And in the world of the future, in fact, we are looking for partnerships and alliances across ecosystems. Not just 40, 50 years ago, we used to look for cross-functional team collaboration, marketing, sales, manufacturing, R&D. Oh, that's old stuff. The new stuff is partnering and alliancing skills across ecosystems. So the linearity in Sunya circle, we take it with one railway line called the individual, left-hand side. The same individual is part of a collective, therefore organization or community. Same 7 A's. In the distance, the word awareness. An aware human, an aware organization. Sleepwalking through life, dear friends, not an option. Certainly not for leaders. All these words mean a lot. We can talk later, but the key word here is alignment is what a lot of leaders look for. On the left side, in the middle, you see a word allegiance. That is where great leaders are able to seek the heart of people who then want to do the impossible. And you are able to tap into a huge resource available to leaders all over the world, which is discretionary energy. That's a huge resource available. People hold it back, waiting for the organization to tap into it. I used to ask one single dipstick question every 60 or 90 days to 35th country member in 35th country and everywhere else, 10,000 people. And that question used to be, dear informal leader or grassroots leader, call out one number. This organization brings the best out in me. Only one number, give me a 1 to 10 number. And if I didn't hear the right numbers from country number 19 or country number 4 or factory number 4, I would ask the leader saying, guys, in your part of this company, I'm told we are not able to bring the best out in each other. What's wrong? What can you do differently as a leader? So this is the linear thinking, right? Act in your authenticity and with courage and continue to build awareness. It's a lifelong journey. The quantum, we do it through a circle. We don't have the time, but just imagine this circle is like a clock, like a daily, 1 day cycle of one of us, or one breath, or one lifetime. So as 12, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock position on this clock, just want you to remember just 3 C's. The first quadrant, which is up till 3 o'clock in this clock, is what Leonardo da Vinci as genius number 1, Einstein, and everyone else would have said. Passionate curiosity with a spirit of play to want to know yourself, your customer, your competition, your family. That's the first quadrant. That's the first C you want to take out of the room. Curiosity, but with a spirit of play, not curiosity from a position of fear. What will they do to us? We'll get killed kind of thing. Fear triggers all wrong emotions in the body, and emotions trigger hormones, and we are prisoners of our hormones, by the way. So if you overuse your survive and thrive hormones, which are adrenaline and cortisol, you're going to get into chronic issues of distress and chronic fatigue and chronic lifestyle diseases. So use them only to run away from a saber-toothed tiger, as our ancestors did. So come at curiosity from a place of not fear, but spirit of play. The second quadrant, and at 5 o'clock on this dial, huge precipice, huge valley. If we cannot leap across that, where that red arrow is, this red arrow here, we will lose it. So all our formation with our MBA, with everything else, we spend most of our life. If we cannot leap into the field of action together with others, with courage to act in our authenticity, this whole journey will fail. So huge, the second C you are taking out of the room is the courage to act in your authenticity. And of course, the second half of the circle, you've already heard me talk about it, co-script it, co-own it, co-celebrate it, and have compassion both for the victor as well as the defeated at the end of every battle. So that's your, clock, and it's spinning all the time, and these conscious choices you can make anytime in your life. Time to close my talk and move on to a Q&A, a small Mentimeter with the help of Priyanka. We've talked about wanting to dream big and deliver higher. Wow. So in the interest of time, let's club these results together. Majority of you are saying to me, 60% of you, that great corporations, organizations are able to dream of dreaming big and then delivering also bigger. Dream big, deliver bigger at the rate of 60% of you are saying more than 4 times that of competition. Wow. And as many as 1/3 out of those 60% are saying 10 times or higher. Now, I know I am therefore in the company of highly aspirational, charged future leaders, present leaders and future leaders. And I'm here to salute you guys because you're able to dream big. And most of you have already worked and will continue to have a great career ahead of you. And most of you also signing up for the fact, as important it is to dream big, equally important to deliver bigger. And the important principle you brought out over here is never underestimate. This VUCA world, right? Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, infinite risks on one side and infinite potentiality on the other side. So thank you for dreaming so big. And only 5% of you, of course, there's a minority who said, well, what's wrong with smaller dreams as long as we give predictable, consistent results which our shareholders have asked for, right? So always learn to play. So we are summing up. We misspelled KIS as KYSC today, and we wanted to take away from Jaspal knowing the game we have chosen to play, taking the trouble to know the terrain that we are going to play on, taking the trouble to know our own mindset and the mindset of our competition, the rules that need to be followed, the rules that need to be disrupted, and then play the game to the best of our ability in the moment. Okay, that's the takeaway we are taking from here. And the core competencies, never underestimate the word core, is also what we discussed. So in the revised version of this slide, I think I would call out the word core far more stronger. Care and compassion, never underestimate how much that permission I talked to you about, the permission to accept yourself. In positive psychology, we say perfectionism, dear friends, is actually a disease because you will burn yourself out and you'll end up burning your teams out as well. So optimalism, what is the best you and your team can do given the resources, given the moment you guys find yourselves in. That was one summary slide. And let's see if I have another slide and if this will move. Yeah, the other thing is that when you move from linear thinking to quantum thinking, we have to use, this very, very interesting mathematical, as Sunya has also come to us from mathematics, and another very interesting shape came to us from mathematics. What do you think is the shape that is giving us the clue to the answer?
Infinity.
Infinity, but what is the technical term for this particular? It's a mathematical term, by the way. 2 German mathematicians about 200, 300 years ago gave us this shape. And it says, when you take 2 equal and opposite properties, chaos and order, strategy and tactics, people and task focus. Level 5 leadership, which is fierce business resolve and deep humility. And you bring these together, huge power gets generated, right? And this is the power the 21st century transformational leader in the new normal will need. The ability to take two poles, they are opposing each other, plus and minus. You want a handshake, you want an integration. All you do is change one of the hands and you got a handshake. Now, you take a strip of paper and you do the same exercise. On one side of this paper, write, let's say, male style leadership, which is yang, alpha. Other side of the paper, you write yin, which is female aspect of leadership. And they need to be there in the same human being. Yeah, yin and yang, male and female, alpha and beta, war and peace. They all have to exist in the same. Now that strip of paper on which you wrote the two equal and opposite qualities on two different sides of the paper, if you did what I just did with my hand, that means turn the paper like this and staple it, you'll end up getting this shape. It is called Mobius. Any of you have heard the name Mobius before? It's the name of the mathematician who gave the shape, as I said, about 200 years ago. So this act is the act of being able to open your own mind. Don't worry about this opposing pole. This is your mind, your ability to choose to open your mind and go for harnessing the power of diversity, leveraging it by integrating the poles. So when we move from emotional intelligence to cultural intelligence, a transformational leader learns to not only be aware of and recognize cultural differences, because we are tribal in our nature. We're not just social, by the way. We are tribal. So we learn to recognize, and in cultural intelligence, then we say, we have to learn to deeply respect. So 4 R's I'm giving you from von Strompener's dilemma reconciliation theory, and it's embedded in cultural intelligence. Did you learn to not only recognize the differences, but the second R, deeply respect differences. The third R, reconcile differences and integrate them. Fourth R is realize the full value of a highly diverse and therefore competitive team. You know, it's not just Akbar the Great who did 9 Ratnas. Even Maharaja Ranjit Singh's generals were from all over the world, including other countries. So you've got to be able to leverage diversity, and every corporate board of a progressive company which is doing well, you will notice how diverse the boards have become over a period of time. Of course, they need much more of it, and therefore it's yet some ways to go. Any of you want to remain in touch with me after this, by the way, the easiest way will be through Facebook, and somewhere at the bottom is some Facebook Sunya Circle face groups are available to you, right? And now I think I am ready to close and get into question and answer. But if the slide does move, let's see if it does.
In this case. So we'll start with Anuj. Yeah, Anuj.
Hey, hi. Thank you for this wonderful talk. I just have one question. So you just suggested us that you were a scout back in the day for the management trainees. So from your perspective, going ahead, what shall be the key skills that one should have, especially from the post-pandemic era perspective?
Anuj, great question. Thank you so much. Out of a mass of sentences, you picked up the one that's relevant for all 100 of us in the room. So firstly, very well chosen question. And of course, you wanted me to make it contextual to the new normal post-pandemic, right? So one thing that never changed for 40, 50 years of my life, friends, was when I was recruiting. And, even later as a senior corporate captain with my human resources partner sitting right next to me, we never could ever achieve zero error recruitment. It always remained a dream. But here's what I used to try to look for, and it worked, by the way, and I think it'll continue to work in the new normal as well. I used to look for what we in our teams used to call fire in the belly, twinkle in the eye. This person is going to do more than her or his fair share once he or she comes on board. So that is a key quality we used to look for. I used to try to go beyond first-rung management institutes. I found excellent talent in the interior of the country, second rung, third rung, fourth rung. And therefore my belief the sports field of my teenage years, that every team player matters. That belief got so much strengthened when I was able to tap into grassroots leadership and not just corporate leadership sitting inside a boardroom. And grassroots, we need leaders who can give us infectious enthusiasm. That's never changed, okay? Bullshitters, of course, they're always around. They will give you fantastic interviews and day one on the job, completely different personality. And that's why zero error recruitment not possible. New normal post-pandemic, if you guys latch on to what the market requires from the executive or leader in this century, this decade, right? So this decade is, let's say, the 2021 to 2030. If you can tap into their pulse, what are they looking for? And if by chance what I've shared with you today resonates with the persons who are interviewing, that they're looking for executives who can be comfortable with a VUCA world, so comfortable they can in fact put an X in front of VUCA. VUCA X means exponentially volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And yet they are agile enough, adaptive enough to twirl in the moment and pull in diverse skill sets. I think you guys will stand out from other people who will be applying for the same job. But the general principle is tap into their need, see what they are looking for, and not get carried away with what I'm saying is that the future leaders need to be inclusive, leverage diversity, equally comfortable with paradoxes. The biggest paradox post-pandemic, Anuj, is going to be the so-called hybrid workplace of the future. So how does one engage and connect? Even in the old days, it was difficult with being in person in the same office. How does one retain deep connection and engagement, and not just alignment, but allegiance, even with remote location teams? And some of us will be on site, some will be off site, some will be working from home. How do we achieve that? How do we achieve what I mentioned earlier to you, deep respect for each other and respect for each other's differences? By the way, emotional intelligence is just a foundation. And I hope you know that EQ is at least as important as IQ, which may have gotten you into a management school. And as you go senior, it is twice as important as IQ. And EQ cannot be on low octane fuel. It needs high octane fuel through cultural intelligence. So your ability to reach out to people who are different from you and include them in your team. So this is what they'll be looking for, partnering skills, paradox called soft skills they seem to have. They're investing in EQ and CQ, and they are equally digital netizens. They are digital. They are high on digital literacy. So, you remember that half picture of Leonardo I shared with you, half his own face and half Mona Lisa. So we need our right brain and our left brain, our logical and our creative side. And if we ourselves don't have it, bring team members on board who have it. And be an ambidextrous organization, if not an ambidextrous human being. I was very lucky as a child, in class 3, pre-nursery, starting to write. I started writing in my left hand, got wrapped on the knuckle. She said, but left hand is reserved for other things. I said, what? Okay, start writing with right hand. And I ended up, every game I play, cricket, bat with right, ball with left, tennis, left, hockey, right, golf, right. So I ended up being ambidextrous. So you can neuroplasticity, neurogenesis, you can do whatever you make up your mind to do. But yes, continue to leverage your strengths, even as you try to develop your other sides of your persona. Thank you, Anuj. Excellent question. I hope I answered it to your satisfaction.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
What are the skills you will feel that will be relevant in future,
Okay.
especially leadership skills in this automation world,
Right.
where AI and ML is prevalent?
Right.
That will be the future.
And the second part of your question?
Second part is the feedback of the customer, how we can accumulate, how we can accommodate.
Right. So Vipul, your question, twin-headed as it is, already indicates a very, very critical thing that will be required in the world of the future. And that is, in the old days, we used to take a lot of trouble to do market research, and we used to, I used to sit behind opaque screens. Opaque screens didn't even exist in India at that time, to listen to housewives doing group discussions around Maggie noodles, right? So market research, listening to people, understanding customer used to be very, very difficult in those days, collecting the research. Your question reminds me, today's world, you guys are so fortunate to have data coming in, real-time data. And if you merge the two skills we have talked today about understanding digital skills on one side, and let's take an and sentence in our heads. I think right through my talk, I've said to you, you will need deep and robust soft skills to understand yourself and other humans. Second, then the word and, you will need enhanced digital literacy, artificial intelligence, big data skills. So in your question lies the gold mine that lies out there, which is how can big data be mined in real time to give you the voice of the customer, which in the old days, we used to find it so difficult to collect and so expensive to collect. And why would you collect the voice of the customer, Vipul? Because
We want to improve our quality.
Yeah.
Because we need to improve our quality.
Just product quality or something else quality?
Sir, product quality and also customer needs.
Yes, so service. So the world of the future, dear friends, is where the brand loyalties are going to be given to those brands which are willing to give co-ownership for the experience of the brand. Brand is no longer just a product. Brand is no longer just a service. Brand is not just the quality that accompanied product or service, right? Brands now, you will see, people are giving their hearts to several brands on the planet. Each brand is actually giving them a brand experience, and they are allowing, the company is wise enough to allow the customers to co-create that brand experience. And if you can do it using data, big time data, because you have real data happening and you know exactly what the customer is looking for, can you imagine the comparative edge you would have? So that's the skill set you're going to be looking for. You know, patterns, there are patterns out there in the market. Earlier, we used to rely on our intuition to spot those patterns and then create a wave or ride a wave, like the Maggie Noodles wave or the Ray-Ban sunglasses wave or the soft contact lens industry as against hard lenses. We used to identify the patterns by connecting the dots, and then we used to either create a wave or ride a wave. The first person to create or ride, early riders, early bird gets the worm, we used to get the market share, the largest market share. In your world, the world you are living in now, convergence is happening across sectors. A good enough reason why a Nokia was going to be knocked off its perch by an Apple or a Microsoft, because convergence is happening. Data is coming in from all kinds of places. So these patterns that I just mentioned to you, where you must be able to recognize a pattern early enough, earlier than competition, is going to require both these skills, Vipul. Let me repeat them: deep and enhanced soft skills and robust digital literacy skills. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So co-creating brand experience, that's the mantra of the brands of the 21st century. And for the leaders, co-creating experience of the employee, the followers of his team, is also the mantra of the 21st century transformational leader. The challenge lies in, VUCA X means, as I said to you, there'll be risk on one side, uncertainty on the other side, but there'll be equally large opportunities. So Sunya is a zero. Zero in Sunya circle means you take a number 0, you multiply it by any number, it becomes nothingness. You take the same 0 and, you take the same number and now divide it by 0. So take a number, multiply it by 0, you got nothingness. Take the same technique, now divide it by 0. What do you get? Infinity. So dear leaders, you span the entire spectrum between nothingness and everythingness. Your choice, what you want to do with your leadership, okay? And with that, I think we are running out of time. Let me see if I can share my screen just once more and show you the invocation inscription I had for you to conclude the message. If it is visible, just
Yes, sir. It is.
yes, visible?
Yes.
Okay, so transformation is on the left side. It says it's my choice to want to change, and it's how strongly I want to transform myself. That is at the core. Take that message away. And the other one, of course, is leadership. There are many kinds of leadership out there. So Lao Tzu 5,000 years ago would have said, not 5,000, but maybe 3,000 years ago would have said, there are many leaders. There'll be those that will be respected and feared and so many others. But there's only one kind of leaders which people will say, we did it, right? And this is what I was earlier alluding to all of you. You do have the choice to be a servant first and a leader afterwards, right? So even Chanakya wrote about it in Arthashastra, and just about all the other scriptures of the planet say, be there to make a difference, a significant difference in others' lives. Others could be. And with that, I think we have come to the end of our talk today.
Yes.
And we have overrun by how much? 13 minutes.
That's
You
fine.
have shown, you have shown
I
so
really
much
enjoyed the
patience,
session.
guys. So thank you so much.
So thank you, sir. We really loved the entire package, starting from those cartoons and the insights you gave after that. Above all, we love your energy and passion. So with this, we have come to the end of this fantastic session. I'm sure that each one of us would agree that this session has been one of the most enriching, interactive, and thought-provoking so far. Sir, it was a pleasure listening to a man of your wealth, specifically related with your thought. While success is important, what is more important is getting happiness out of success. It has been an absolute honor to host you this evening. Once again, I would like to thank you for sparing your most valuable time on this Saturday evening and being so patient with the Q&As. Thank you indeed. Your presence today really means a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Salute
you.
Thank you so
All
much,
the
sir.
best.
Thank you, sir.
All the
Thank
best.
you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Success and joy to all of you. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
Bye.
Bye.